Well, welcome, fantasy people. My name is the Pro Matt, and I'm with my brother here, the Rookie Adam, and
Hello.
we will be the Rookie and the Pro. Um, Looking to just do a podcast for fantasy for those that just kind of enjoy doing fantasy football and everything. Um, I'm by no means an expert. I'm not going to give you all the analytics and everything else that you'll find on, hundreds of other fantasy football podcasts and go through that. But I will share kind of my ways of how I do things. And then my brother Adam will be bringing a very interesting perspective as he is not into football or other fantasy sports um,
As a
at
matter of
all.
fact, I actually know almost nothing about fantasy football. I have a conception of what it is, but I have a feeling I am very wrong. So this is going to be a very educational experience for me personally.
Yes. And I'm hoping that'll be very educational for everybody out there as well. Um, the idea of this is to kind of bring anybody that is interested in playing fantasy football. You might like football but never played fantasy football before. Just an overview of how to go about joining things, creating leagues. We're going to cover your scoring, your rosters. Uh, I'll give you kind of my personal likes and dislikes, regarding rosters and scoring and stuff. I'm going to try to be as diverse as possible between a couple different platforms. Of course, there's a bunch of different platforms you can use, but we'll be primarily focusing on Yahoo, and then we'll also kind of cover ESPN as well, since those seem to be the two major platforms for fantasy sports. Um, so with that, I mean, Adam, what are you looking forward to in doing this?
Mostly I'm looking forward to really learning about fantasy football. Like I said earlier, I have no idea what this really is. I think my perception about it um, is mostly like you create your own team where you pick a bunch of players, and then as they play and they'll do certain things, and that adds points, and then whoever has the most points in your league wins, I guess. Um, I don't know how accurate that is. I have some friends who do some fantasy football, so I've seen a little. I have not paid much attention to it, to be honest, perfectly honest. Um, but also, I'm also hoping to get a little bit more into football. I've got some friends
Mhm.
who watch a lot of football. I'm not a sports guy at all. I know enough about football to be entertained with friends when I go and watch a Super Bowl, but that's about it. So we'll see how things transpire through the coming weeks.
Well, you're actually not terribly far off. So, we'll cover it as we kind of go along. But um, yeah, you're gonna do exactly what you're saying. We're gonna have a draft, and we're gonna pick a bunch of players. You're gonna have to fill roster spots up at a minimum and everything, and then uh, but you're gonna end up going head to head. So kind of like how the Vikings will play one team that week, right? They don't play all 31 other teams in the league um, on the same day. It's not quite how that matches up. So this one's going to be a head to head. I haven't messed around with anything as far as matching up against everybody in the league. There may or may not be settings for that, but I've never really been interested in trying to, chase after that or try that out and everything. Um,
That does sound familiar to me. I think I might have heard a couple of friends saying that they're going up against each other that week.
yeah,
So it could
and
be
that's
that. So
normally how it
that's
works.
okay.
Yeah, it's
So
all head to head. So it's you know one week it'll be you versus me, and whoever scores the most points that week, that'll be the winner, and you kind of move on. Um, so anything, I guess, expectations, goals, hopes for this season kind of coming into it. I know like fantasy football, I think is, the best way to kind of learn about the players and the sport. I think it's applicable to any of the fantasy sports out there. I used it to kind of dive into hockey myself several years ago. So, um, any kind of like goals for the season and everything.
I don't really have any goals specifically, just I don't know, have some fun, I guess. That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
I don't have really any expectations. I don't know what goals to set. I'm so unfamiliar with it. I just don't know what there are in terms of goals or anything. So I'm just like, hey, I've got some friends who do fantasy. I have some other friends who don't do fantasy. I'm like, hey, you know, try to use football to kind of have fun with friends and get to
mhm.
uh, have like another excuse to do stuff with some friends. That's pretty much how I'm coming into this. So
Yeah. No, I mean that's great, and that's what this podcast is kind of going to be for. Is the friends that kind of know football but don't do fantasy and everything. The hope is that this will also kind of bring them on for the ride and help them learn how to play. It's not terribly complicated. There are a bunch of strategies and ways to kind of go about things. And the biggest thing about the NFL is there's so much parity that you could have a player on a really really good team going up against one of the worst teams in the league that week, and you know it's a really favorable matchup, and then you just watch that player do terribly, and that really bad team ends up beating the really good team. Uh, so that's that's why they have the saying, any given Sunday, because really any given Sunday you can get anything out of it, and that's kind of what makes fantasy football really exciting. Um, and despite the analytics and everything else like that, they can only get you so far. I feel like there's a lot of luck in that. So it'll be a lot of fun. And for everybody kind of watching with us, this first time for me trying to do a podcast. So hopefully you guys will be kind of understanding. Things won't be perfect and everything, but definitely would love to have any feedback from everybody. What you might want to see in future episodes, things you might like us to cover. Um, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, um, and we'll do our best to kind of help everybody else immerse into this, and we'll have a bunch of fun.